Auzubillahiminasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 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 Bismillahilladzi la yadurru ma'asmihi syai'un fil ardi wala fis samai was-sami'ul 'alim. Alhamdulillah, all praise to Allah SWT. We are able to meet today, and I would like to summarize chapter 1 as part of the lecture. Alhamdulillah, I think we have finished chapter 1 in the class before, and I have the chapter summarized by the group Muhammad Sa'ad Indi, Abdul Rahman, and Mazwan. May I use this slide for our very brief discussion on this first topic, that is web planning and management. As we know that this is different, there is a difference between web planning and financial planning, whereby the web planning is meant for what you call as the medium or high income or high net worth customer, or those who have high income. And we know that as far as financial planning is concerned, we are doing what I call as management of our cash flows, doing our budget so that we have enough cash or enough money for our day-to-day or month-to-month operation. However, financial planning is crucial, and it is part of web planning. If we don't do the financial planning, we are not able to do web planning. If we are able to do a good financial planning, it means that we can always have a lot of reserve, what we call a surplus in our account. And this surplus is part of wealth. So wealth also can be defined as whatever cash remain in your account, whatever surplus after your income minus expenses. So one of the biggest source of web planning is that you have excess cash, or what we call that your surplus from your income minus expenses, then you have the surplus. So in web planning is that how are we going to do with this surplus or this wealth? So in other words, we have to think about what we're going to do with this wealth. And one of the other things that we can invest the wealth. The wealth can be used to generate more wealth. Wealth will have the nature of able to grow. That's why web planner is the one who always plan how to put their wealth and wealth to grow and have more wealth. For example, if you have excess money, or you have a lot of reserve, and that reserve is used to buy a piece of land, and later on you develop the land, you build a factory and have the production, and that factory produce income. So your surplus, the earlier surplus, you invested in land, and then this land will then later on be used to build a factory, will later on generate more income from the production of the factory. Similarly, if you have extra cash, you buy a house and you rent the house, and that house is meant to be a source of other income to you. So in other words, you have another extra income from, or source of income from this rented house, and later on you put the money into shares and you have income from the shares. So in other words, wealth can generate more wealth. So in other words, you have to plan your financial planning and to have a lot of reserve, and you can invest the reserve in future that will develop more income for you and for your future generation. So wealth sometimes can be defined as whatever have economic value, comprising money, as I said just now, whatever you have in your reserve in your account, movable items like jewelry, cars, etc., or immovable property like land, buildings. You have we call these estates. All these are known as wealth. So in other words, you have to do the planning about wealth, as you know that this wealth cannot be left idle. If we have the wealth, for example, we have money, and we don't invest the money, it won't generate more income. We have, for example, we have a land or building, we don't utilize the building for future income, that wealth doesn't generate income. So all this wealth with you make you become wealthier, and it is something that you can make use to generate more income. So wealth planning and management is an effort to analyze and organize financial affairs to achieve the desired financial and lifestyle goals. If you have the wealth, you always think about the wealth to grow, and you have your own goals. One of the goals is that in our life is that we have to think about to have a financial freedom. What is financial freedom? That is, we are a kind of person don't have any debt. You owe nothing to anyone. You are free of debt. Number two, you have your investment or your property or your wealth that generate income. So for example, you have your investment in the bank, investment in shares, investment in properties, investment in land and buildings or all the factories that generate income to you. So on one hand, you don't have any debt and you have an income, and you can plan for your financial freedom. And you also have the money that give you protection. You put your the investment in protection apart from paying tax and also for your zakat, paying zakat for the wealth purification. You also have put the money for your protection in form of buying a takaful product, or have reserve for the time when you become old, during the old time or during your retirement time. So with this financial freedom means that you have achieved the most maximum goals. I mentioned earlier, if possible, if you can put your asset to become a 3M, money making machine, it means that you have a total freedom and your asset always produce income. So think about what would be the opportunity for that, so that your wealth become a 3M wealth, and you are having a financial freedom. You can opt for early retirement, and you are well protected. We have all kind of coverage for yourself during illness or something like that, what we call as you have takaful protection, and also you have purify yourself in the form of wakaf, sadaqah, and in form of zakat, infaq, and so on. At the same time, you have put your obligation of paying tax. This will be what we call as a good wealth planning and management, and you're able to achieve your objectives. As far as wealth is concerned, for Muslim, it is a kind of trust, amanah. Man is a trustee. That's why in Islam, Muslim have the wealth as an obligation, a trust, and this wealth is a trust for man to utilize it for the benefit of himself and the society, and doesn't do harm to the people of the society, and it will held accountable in this world and hereafter. And in Islam, wealth is also bounty. It means that there is no limit on wealth. There is no issue of scarcity. What has been taught in conventional sense is that wealth is scarce. The scarcity means that people have to fight for the piece of meal or to find a piece of bread. But in Islam, wealth is bounty, and it's human efforts that make wealth to grow. You are given the intellectual, you are given the innovative behavior, you are given the skills, you are given what I call this, the ability to manage, and all these things will help you to build up your wealth. So it is how you manage your ability so that the wealth can grow. And it's the wealth is always, as I said earlier, is always bounty. For example, Allah has created fishes in the sea, and the fish can we call this have a newborn, or the fishes can produce millions of newborns. So it's no issue that the fish will deplete in the sea. It is man who destroy the ecosystem, that destroy all the corals, and destroy all we call this the ecosystem by pollution and so on, and cause depletion of these the sea lives. threatening to the sea life and deplete the sea life. Likewise, or else wealth is bounty, and there is always there for us to I call this, to benefit from the one that Allah gives to man, and man is always trusty to wealth. So in other words, in Islam, we are what we call this, we are helped to be a trustee for the wealth. And Islam have teach us that the wealth should be acquired and produced or spent in a lawful manner. Because you must remember that Islam have put it like what we call is we call it the responsibility of man to make sure that they have produced something that is not harmful to other people. They acquire the property or the wealth without harming the other people, doing harm to other people. So this is why we call as wealth are accumulated in a lawful way and also spent in a lawful way. That's why in Islamic economy, for example, the Muslim, perhaps there are a lot of people or mankind are provide, Muslim or non-Muslim, they allow private ownership, because with this ownership they can produce more wealth and more generate more income to the society. However, some of the things in Islamic economy, they have to be managed by the authority or the government, and some of them have to be managed by the community, and this subject have been discussed in the Islamic economy. For example, sea, rivers, everything should be managed by the utilities, has to be managed by the government or the authority, whereby the green pastures and all this the graveyard or this thing, this have to be managed by the community. That's why we had the municipal council to manage on the garbage, manage on this the cleanliness of the town, and all this is the role of the community, helped by the municipal, for example, MBSA. And number 3, there are also individual can own something and produce something. For example, you can own a factory, you can produce something from the factory. These are what we call as your private ownership, as long as your production does not cause harm to the society, and also you acquire things and produce things lawfully. So there are some externalities. Externalities in economy is defined as something that probably has stopped us from expanding our wealth. Something that can be something that is not what I call this, something that might disturb your productivity, or what we call as something that is beyond your control, or something that have been happening that can hamper your wealth accumulation. For example, we have the catastrophic event, then we have the event of COVID-19, for instance. These are those externalities, something that has caused harmful to your productivity. Of course, the other things that there are something that is what I call a natural catastrophic. Sometimes it is due to something that is beyond your control that we have now. Natural catastrophe is something like monsoon season. We have a flooding month, or long flooding stay in the country. We have a drought system, and something like COVID-19. These all are externalities. Okay, as I said earlier, if you look here in this diagram, they talk about wealth accumulation. That is important for you to accumulate wealth, and this is one of the main objectives. And for us, this wealth management, to have what we call this, the fund to grow and to earn more income. Okay. The next thing is we're going to talk about is mobilization of wealth. So you have the wealth, later on, the wealth will be passed to your ancestors or to your descendants, to other beneficiaries. So, or else the wealth can be left bequeathed for the public purposes. So there are ways for you to mobilize your wealth. For example, I have a rewriting and I put the wealth to my descendants through the rewriting. I put this is going to be mine, the amount that I'm going to walk off, the amount I'm going to infaq, the amount that I'm going to left it to my dependents. So you can have a rewriting, or you can do it by, later on we discuss, you have the wealth you can transfer to your beloved one through hibah. Hibah means a gift. You put in this wealth, I'm going to give it to certain sons and daughters. If you have the hibah, you should have it done fairly. Though hibah means that you can give the asset totally to one son compared to the other sons, but then it's in the teaching of Islam, the element of fairness should be there. So some scholars say that though hibah means you are permissible to transfer the asset wholly to one of your descendant or your son or your beneficiaries, your wife or your daughters, but one of your daughters or your sons, but though it is, you have the right to do so, but the teaching of Islam, they want it to be distributed fairly. Number two, you can also use the asset for public purposes. And number three, you can have the asset administered by its possessors, or we call this a form of rewriting. And then you can have a person you trust and use the asset administered by them for the benefit of the society. In spending of wealth, there is mobilization of wealth. So you can mobilize wealth. I recap again. Number one, you left to descendants by means of hibah, or by means of rewriting, or you can also left to the descendant by means of faraid. Number two, you can also bequeath for the public purposes. Means that you can never say, okay, this asset is meant for the public. It's quite difficult in practice, and the success factor is very low. Number three, you can appoint somebody to manage the asset for the benefit of the public or the society. So that is part of mobilization of wealth. How about spending of wealth? Again, Islam said that you couldn't spend something that is haram, that is spend something that is what we call as something non-Sharia compliance. Number two, you cannot be the one who always think about something that is wasteful. Islam also don't allow us to be mubazir. Inna mubazirin kana ikhwani shayatin. Allah says that do spend lavishly is the partner of shaitan, and Allah don't like those who mubazir do. And In Islam, you always think about spending in order to achieve al-falah. There is success in this world and hereafter. There is you spend something, for example, spend for your kids' education, spend for your the building of whatever the mosque, the building of the school, the building of public utilities, everything is this for the achieve of this al-falah in this world and hereafter. And the other thing about Islam and spending of wealth is that you are also encouraged for wealth purification, that is through zakat, sadaqah, infaq, waqaf, and something that's really purified of wealth. In Islam, it's said that those you spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it should be the one that remain to you after you pass away. You achieve the al-falah in the Yawm al-Akhirah. But those you spend for yourself, for example, you have a lot of cars, you have a lot of properties, when you pass away, and that property will be descended by other people. It's left for other people, not for you. So that's why Islam teaches us that you have to purify your wealth, and you also have to spend for al-falah, that is spend something that is for hereafter. Alhamdulillah, I think this is the end of this session. Wish you all well, and inshallah we'll see you in the second slot of this class. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.